Welcome to episode 16 of the MJ Sports Podcast. My name is Mark, and I'm joined by Jonas, and this is your week of sports in review.
Sports, 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 sports. Woo! And we're back once again for another delicious episode. And today I'm feeling like, we're back after you've gone on a diet for a month at the start of the year. Actually, it's only been 13 days to start the year. Your New Year's resolution out here, and you just wanted a bite of sweet ice cream, and that's what we are here for today. We are going to be your ice cream to get you through the rest of this diet. What do you think, Mark?
I was a little interested to see where that was going to go. but
Me too. I was kind of making it up as I went along.
but we got here, and we got through the wild card weekend. So
That's right, the super wild card weekend.
yes,
The inaugural super wild card weekend.
it's true.
In
The first wild card weekend to have slime.
Oh, baby. The slime game. I guess we could go ahead and start, just talking about that one. It was obviously the most boring game, and I think everyone besides you that, unless you were just picking the Bears to be, cheek.
Yeah, no, that was a really boring game. At least that was the one on Nickelodeon. That provided a little bit of entertainment with some of the stuff going on there, but yeah, I didn't realistically think the Bears were going to win. That was just more of wishful thinking on my part, but you know, because unfortunately at this point it sounds like the Bears are not going to bring back Trubisky, and I thought maybe a nice playoff run would seal the deal there for a 7-year max, but unfortunately we're not there yet. So
I will say they dropped a trick play touchdown that worked beautifully, and even Trubisky made a great pass.
yeah,
The dude just straight up dropped it.
that was they had a couple plays where just some ill-timed penalties, but yeah, that drop was just huge. Perfect throw right in the breadbasket and just whiffs on it.
Yeah, and can I just ask, why do they keep giving Tony Romo the most boring play? Stop giving him the worst games. They give him, his one Super Bowl so far. It's the most boring Super Bowl in the last 10 years. I don't know what it is.
Maybe
But
they
give
know it's
give him
going to
the
be a boring game and they're hoping Tony can help spice things up a little bit.
I guess. Did did you watch very much of it on Nickelodeon? Like honestly, after like the first half, I was just like, this game's not even worth watching.
So I didn't watch it live on Nickelodeon, but I went back and watched a lot of the highlights because I don't have Nickelodeon. So I watched it without. I watched it on CBS, and it it was pretty boring. I kind of just watched it in the background, but
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess moving on to a game that's you thought might be boring. You might thought be absolutely horrendous. But the Buccaneers and the Washington football team. Old Taylor Heineke, what a guy.
you got to lock him up now. Like commit to him as the future. Like 7-year max right now.
I hope they do. I truly hope they do.
I don't
Because
know.
this man was a backup XFL quarterback.
It's gonna be interesting. He played pretty well, so obviously Washington's gonna have an open competition going into the next season, so it'll be interesting to see if they draft someone or swing a trade or uh, I don't know which quarterbacks are free agents this year, but um, it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to
I
see.
don't really know if like they even know who they're gonna get yet. there, but I mean, I would retain this guy as like a backup. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
I feel like based off that performance, he could probably do about as good as what Andy Dalton did this year. So,
yeah,
and he's
no,
mobile.
yeah. There you go.
Do you think? Well, I guess we'll get on to the Tampa Bay New Orleans matchup a little bit later, I guess. But what other game you want to talk about, Mark? We got a few left to choose from.
You know, why don't we talk about the Colts and Bills? Because the Colts could have won that game.
They very they honestly they should have won. I
Yeah, they
and
honestly should.
maybe the Bills, you know, play more aggressive. They depend on how things kind of turned out there, and still end up winning. But the Colts, I mean, this field goal. Granted, it didn't look like old Blankenship boy, Lego boy, uh, accounted for the wind on that kick. But and then the choice to go for it there. I mean, second quarter is kind of a. You kind of look back and that was kind of like the do or die moment, even though it was in the second quarter.
Yeah, I saw a stat that apparently they moved the ball. I saw that they got
Yeah,
into Buffalo territory on all 9 of their drives and still ended up losing. So they were not able to finish a drive to save their life. But
yeah. It's well, that's one thing where like you almost know, and like just by almost like you know if you don't take the field goal at the end of the first half and you go for it, it seems like you always end up losing by points. Or if you had kicked the field goal, it'd have been tied.
yeah,
So this almost one where Philip Rivers looked pretty good, and it's almost on just the coaching. Almost you could say blew this one.
yeah, I nope, I'd agree with you there.
Do you have as much confidence in Bills going forward now, or what?
I mean, Indianapolis isn't a bad team. Like, I mean, they've got a good defense, and depending on how Philip Rivers plays, their offense can be pretty good. Um, I gotta say that wasn't quite the performance I was expecting from the Bills. I'd say they underperformed a little bit to what I was expecting. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think they're as elite as some people are talking about. Like, I listened to Colin Cowherd, talk about how the Bills are like the best team in the NFL right now. And I'm like, hold on there. You got the Packers and the Chiefs still around. So, but
Yeah, well, I think it'll be an interesting game between them and Baltimore, and I guess we can talk about Baltimore a little bit here. Uh, I mean, I will say I told you on this one, Mark. I had the feeling that Baltimore was gonna get their revenge in this game. Now I hadn't even heard about all that logo stomping stuff until I saw it happen in the game.
oh yeah, I knew about all that going in, but yeah, I mean, all credit due to Baltimore. They they had a great game plan. So I mean, honestly, Baltimore's pretty hot right now. So they picked the right time of year.
And can I just say, it was not Lamar Jackson that won them this game. It was their defense. Like if the Titans could have done anything in the last 3 quarters of the game, like they would have easily won if their offense could have done anything. And look, I probably sound like a broken record out here, but Lamar Jackson just his throwing ability is not what is ever going to win them a game. And if teams, I mean, Tennessee kind of seemed like they had it mostly figured out besides that one just, run off of a pass play that was a 50-yard touchdown. So besides that one fluke, the Titans seemed to shut him down pretty well. And I guess that's just what you get with Lamar Jackson is just kind of fluky runs like that. But Man, I think teams would watch from 2 years ago how the Chargers defended Lamar Jackson and just watch that, and that would be an easy recipe on how to shut him down. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how teams continue to not being able to stop running quarterbacks. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't get it either, but I mean, running quarterbacks are something the Packers have struggled to stop. Um, basically since they started, running quarterbacks became a norm. So I'm kind of used to it by now, just expecting them to run all over us. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta. I mean, I get it. Like, you don't want to play a spy on them every single play, and be that predictable. But I mean, you would just think that teams would find a way, or at least like some of the players, like, would be more mindful. Because sometimes what you see is you'll see someone like Bull Rush, and that just opens up, off the edge, when you've got to hold that edge to keep them in the pocket. And if they didn't Bull Rush and they just, played the outside, you probably hold them for a sack, or at least you make them throw the ball. So,
Right. And I've got to say, after that first interception that he threw, I was thinking, oh, good night, nurse. Mark, Mark got this one right. Because I was thinking, good night. The first quarter, they're already throwing away their whole game plan from the last 6 weeks. But after that, it seemed like they were like, oh, yeah, we're a running team. But
well, I think that's enough of the past. Would you like to look on to the future here?
I mean, we did miss the best game of the week, Mark. We didn't talk
Oh,
about the
oh,
most
oh, oh,
entertaining game.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're completely right.
And we didn't hit Seattle versus the Rams either. I mean, I don't know if how
Sorry,
much
I it's been a
you want
long
to talk
it's
about
been a
that.
long day. No, trust me.
It's okay.
I wanna talk crap about Seattle. Trust me. I mean,
Okay,
peak.
well, I'll let you take it away then.
Uh, so my solution to all of Seattle's problems is fire Pete Carroll and move to a different state. Now,
Pete Carroll or the whole team?
oh, the whole state, the whole team. But
The whole state. The whole
yes,
state should just move.
yeah,
I think you're right. Get
yeah,
to Washington.
move to like Delaware or something. But um, no, I mean, I don't think anybody felt good about Seattle going in. Seattle has not looked good this second half of the year. Yeah, they had a good regular season record, but I mean, they were just barely winning games. It was like, a bunch of one possession victories. Russell Wilson struggled throughout the year. The play calling seemed iffy at best sometimes. I mean, the defense, did not perform to expectations this year after they acquired Jamal Adams. So, I mean, I saw that they fired their offensive coordinator Schottenheimer, but I also saw that they extended their GM. So I don't know. Seattle's got to figure something out. But
Yeah, I don't know if it was their. Honestly, I think the Rams' defense played pretty well, but like I don't know if it was Seattle's offensive line is just terrible
I think it
or
was a
what
combination of the two. I mean, it was bad.
because Russell Wilson just running around back there, and arguably that interception off that screen pass, that was one of the best plays of the season. Honestly, like how many times have you ever seen that happen?
Yeah, I mean, that as a corner, that's pretty much a do or die play there. Because if you don't make that pick, you're leaving them with some room to run there. So I mean, great read, and I mean, but yeah, I mean, Seattle just didn't have it together, and the Rams' defense, like you said, it did play well, and I mean the offense with that Wolford guy, he had a neck injury in the first quarter, and Goff had to play unexpectedly. I mean they did enough, so
Yeah, Well, that Cam Akers guy,
Yeah,
if they can get him going against you guys, who knows? Granted, I don't think they're going to score very much against you guys, but we'll save that for just a second because I want to get to probably the most entertaining game of the weekend. One that I did not think was going to be entertaining whatsoever, but the Browns and the Steelers, man, what a wild game! Never in a million years would I I would have expected that. Like,
literally first play of the game with the high snap, Cleveland touchdown. Like, as soon as that happened, and then, I mean, Big Ben was terrible. I mean, what was it? 4 interceptions,
yeah,
and I think they had 5 turnovers. I mean,
yeah,
it was just brutal. I mean, Cleveland capitalized on every. I mean, especially with Cleveland with Stefanski not being able to be there to coach. I mean, obviously, the offensive coordinator knows the offense. Defensive coordinator knows the defense already. So I mean, it's not like you just having some random guy out there, who hasn't been with the offense all week and hasn't been with the defense. But I mean, the Browns came out and they outplayed the Steelers by such a large margin.
yeah. Well, and I was thinking after that snap, I was like, this is just like the Super Bowl, the Peyton Manning Super Bowl. I wonder if it's gonna go downhill that fast, for the Steelers, and boy, did it.
Yeah.
But honestly, in a way, I was thinking from the start of the third quarter till about 5 minutes to go in the fourth, I was thinking, man, the Browns are gonna blow this. What that 4th and 1 at about the 48-yard line or whatever that the Steelers had, I think they were down by like 13 or something like that. Man, I was thinking you have all the momentum here. You could probably get an easy first down, and they punt.
Yeah,
That
I couldn't believe that. So
I mean, yeah, that I would have gone for it there. Same thing with the Titans. Whenever they were losing 17-13, and they're at the Ravens' 40-yard line, 4th and 2, and then they choose to punt instead of go for it. Just yeah, some
well,
really odd play calling, I guess, overall by just several teams this
well, and
this weekend.
and you hear it every week, but as analytics are slowly becoming a bigger part of football, every time a team goes for 4th down, you have to listen to like Troy Aikman or someone else say that, the analytics say that it's actually, better to go for it here. Um, but I mean, honestly, yeah, it is. Like, the Packers have started going for it significantly more than they ever have in the past. And most of the time it does work. Like 4th and 1, 4th and 2, it's a different thing if you're backed up on your own 30, but if you're at midfield, especially in a playoff game where you got down behind, got behind early. I mean, I just don't know how you don't go for it there.
Yeah, and really, as long as you don't make a dumb play call, like if they would have ran like fullback dive for the third
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
like that would have been dumb. But yeah, and then same thing with the Titans. Well, what I really didn't understand about that Titans game, and it's hard for me because like I was cheering for the Titans that game, even though I picked the Ravens to win. And Derrick Henry had his first like run longer than like 5 yards on first down, and then they passed it twice, and then they punted. And that just didn't make any sense to me. So some yeah, questionable play calling. Like you said, analytics, which I guess there's a person. Yeah, let's get this out of the way before we go too much in the future. Mr. Analytical himself, Doug Peterson, fired.
I mean, I gotta say, I wasn't expecting him to get fired. I honestly thought he'd have next year as well. But
Well, here's the
I saw that he met with the owner, and they talked about their future visions for the team. And the owner said that after he met with Peterson, he decided that was when to fire him. So
That's
I don't know what came
it.
up with the difference in visions there. If if one was picturing more of a rebuild, or one was picturing something else. But yeah,
Yeah, I have no idea what happened there, but I mean, I would think he would get a head coaching job somewhere. Like, I feel like if he gave the Eagles just like, here's his resume without telling him who he was, like they would like rehire him.
yeah, and I did see that it's likely that he might take the next year off. Um, you playing something?
Yeah, sorry, just like my TV just started for literally no reason.
Oh, that's
I'll go turn that off real quick.
that's nice.
Fill the void.
Yeah, but basically, I think Peterson will probably take a year off. Um, he'll latch on somewhere. He's got a good enough resume. Someone will definitely hire him. Could be a potential. mm, You know, I'm not sure what vacancies will be open, but Peterson will latch on. He's not going to have a hard time finding work in the NFL. So,
Yeah. Well, sorry about the TV there. It just randomly turned it on to the Brooklyn Nets game, so
oh,
I
nice.
guess James Harden's just itching for us to talk about him, I guess.
Well, we'll make him wait a little bit longer. So,
Yeah, he deserves it.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Well, Doug Peterson getting fired kind of made me. Which after the Bears game, I was like, just get rid of Trubisky, get rid of Foles, fire Matt Nagy. That's what
Well,
I would
it's
do.
you got to fire Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. I mean,
Yeah,
I honestly, I've seen some people saying that, oh no, Nagy's an offensive wizard. This will be a terrible decision if the Bears fire him. No, Nagy had his year. I don't know if granted he hasn't had great quarterback play, but at the same time, it took him 2.5 years to figure out that they need to run the ball with David Montgomery, and the offense still hasn't performed to expectations, and he really hasn't helped develop Trubisky in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I think they need to move on from both of them. I think Nagy and Pace probably have another year as well, but I don't know. Chicago's got a long history of holding on to coaches and GMs a lot longer than they should. So,
yeah. I just feel like unless like Nagy finds like an amazing quarterback out of nowhere, they're just delaying this decision by a year. So
yep. So I got a question for you. We're talking about coaches. Heard a lot of criticism about Mike Tomlin over the last couple weeks with how the Steelers have performed. What are your thoughts on Mike Tomlin?
uh, I I think this is hard because I don't know who in the organization decided to stop running the ball. Because I had James Conner on one of my fantasy teams. First like 7 weeks, he was putting up, average of around 100 yards and touchdown. Depending, usually a touchdown. And then about week 8 or 9, instead of and another important distinction was he was getting about 20 carries a game those first 7, 8 games. And then they started giving him like 14 carries, like week 9. And it's like, well, okay, maybe, maybe you wanted to get Snell involved or Jalen Samuels or something. And then it kept happening. I know he was kind of, injured here and there. But it's not like they were giving the backups like 20 carries. So to me, I just didn't understand why they stopped running the ball. And I don't know if that was Mike Tomlin's decision. And if it was his decision, that would just... I still feel like he's a good coach, but I feel like at some point, either he or almost Big Ben, they... I don't know. One more year, but honestly, I don't know how they improve over this year.
No, I agree. Honestly, if, I think you gotta. Big Ben needs to retire. I mean, that's just it. And I know, like, there's the whole thing. Big Ben's got lots of tenure, and you know, he's adored by Steelers fans, or at least I'm assuming he is. So, it's not easy to, see a franchise quarterback leave, but I mean, Big Ben has just not been. He has not been great this year. So, and I mean, you know, he's breaking down. As you commonly see. I mean, he's not really in the shape that Brady is, and some of these other older quarterbacks are in. So, I I I think Big Ben should probably hang it up personally, but
I agree, but he does have like $41 million sitting on the table, so why
one
would you
more
retire?
year, one more year.
It's a classic Big Ben. He's basically the second coming of Brett Favre when it comes to wanting to retire and then unretire. So,
Yeah.
oh, speaking of, just one last coach, Mark. The Cowboys hired Dan Quinn as defensive coordinator. What do you think of that?
I mean, he's got to be better than Mike Nolan, right?
Here's my thought is he couldn't handle being the head coach, and after the whole Patriots thing, it was kind of like a mental block, I feel like, almost. So I think getting him back in the role of mainly defensive coordinator, he doesn't have to worry about the whole team. I'm hoping that he can return to what he did in Seattle whenever they won the Super Bowl. So
Look,
I don't know.
secretly, this is just the way to where when you guys fire McCarthy halfway through the season next year, you have your next coach already there.
Yeah, well, in our luck, they'll promote Kellen Moore.
Hmm.
Considering we already gave him like a massive extension to keep calling, plays while we're losing by 20 points in the third quarter.
Hey,
But
but you guys have one of the worst backups in the league.
who's that?
Andy Dalton. He's terrible. Terrible
Okay,
backup.
I wasn't sure who you were talking about.
Oh,
Could have been DiNucci
oh, yeah.
as well.
No, I mean,
It could
I
have
don't
been
know.
Kellen Moore off the bench.
look, you guys, maybe you'll be like the Packers in year two. It just takes a full year to get the offense and, get
Yeah,
things
because we
figured
went
out.
13-3 the first year with McCarthy.
I'm not saying you guys are gonna, you guys will be like 9-7 next year, but it'll be like a good
That's
9-7.
probably good enough to win the division.
I think it is. But, well, do you want to switch over to talking about this weekend?
Yeah, I'm ready to theorize a little bit.
Oh boy. Well, you want to start at Lambeau with
Sure.
my Packers versus the Rams? I mean, I don't know if you want to do picks here, you want to talk about them and then do picks or what, but
I don't know. We can shoot a couple hot takes out there and make our picks, I guess.
okay. Well, one of the most interesting matchups in this game is going to be Jalen Ramsey on Devontae Adams. I mean, I'm real excited to see that. That's two players too who can be a bit chippy at times. So I'm hoping for some interesting interactions there. Personally, now this is like Ramsey's phenomenal. Like I'm not taking anything away. I do think Devontae will still have some success, but I think you're going to see the Packers target a lot more of their secondary wide receivers, just because of the fall off there between Ramsey and, you'll probably still, even with Ramsey, see like a safety cheating or something like that on some of the plays. So I'd actually look to see, maybe Aaron Jones getting involved in the passing game a lot more, and then watch out for Alan Lazard. And they'll, just because it's cold out doesn't mean they're not going to try to take a deep shot that Scantling inevitably drops. So, but I mean, I with Goff still being, his fingers still being messed up. I mean, it's going to be cold in Lambeau. I think the Packers will be fine in this game. I think the Rams are going to have a hard time putting up points. With the Packers, the key is obviously, going to be got to move the ball down the field, and you got to get the ball out of Rodgers' hands quick with that Rams defensive line, especially with Aaron Donald up the middle. So, I mean, the Packers only turned it over 11 times this year, so not too worried about Rodgers throwing picks or anything like that, or Jones fumbling. So I'm pretty confident of the Packers this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think people kind of, I don't know. I think Jalen Ramsey's a little bit overrated. I mean, yeah, he shut down DK Metcalf, a couple times this year, but it's not that hard to shut down DK Metcalf when Russell Wilson just looks like doo doo. Uh, and at this point, I'd say Rodgers is playing 5 times better than Russell Wilson is. And you gotta think Devonte Adams makes a lot better cuts than, and his footwork's a lot better than DK Metcalf. I mean, so I wouldn't be shocked if Adams still gets 100 yards in this game. Maybe he gets clamped down a little bit in the red zone, and I think you're right. I think you do see Aaron Jones and I don't know, whichever else running backs are healthy for you guys. I think any of them are capable of catching or running the ball. And I mean, Tanyan, he's been great. I don't see any reason for him to go away at this point.
Yeah, by the way, I just want to say Bobby Tonyan is the biggest Pro Bowl snub of this season because Ingram from the Giants got that spot instead. The man who's dropped more balls than he's caught, it seems like.
He literally dropped like 2 Giants wins this year.
I mean, Tanyan has the most touchdowns of all tight ends this year. I think he had like 11 or 12. I mean, the guy's just been great. So I think it's total bullcrap that Ingram won. But at the same, I mean, it's the Pro Bowl. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like there's never been controversial picks there. So I don't think he's going to be sweating it too much. But little disrespect there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you guys score like 20 points in this game, I don't think there's like any way you lose. But I figure you'll probably score more than that. But
I mean, the key to the Rams' offense is going to have to be Cam Akers because Jair Alexander's going to keep Woods in check. And, I'm going to guess Kevin King will probably be on Cooper Kupp. And our Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage have been playing some of the best football from safeties over these last couple weeks that I've seen. I mean, especially Amos. Like, they have just been absolutely phenomenal. So I think, if Akers, they're going to have to get that run game going, and they're going to have to stick with it. But
yeah, I just don't think they're going to be able to run it enough. And if Goff has to start making a whole bunch of throws, I don't see it ending well.
yeah.
So I mean, I guess we're both picking the Packers here, and then is that what I'm hearing?
Yep, I think so.
All right. Well, you want to move on to the other NFC game, the arguably one of the more intriguing games of this weekend, Tampa Bay and New Orleans.
I'm expecting this to be a great game. Like, this should be good. It's hard to pick a team here.
Yeah, my only worry is, like, Tampa Bay they got destroyed both times they played. Now, is Tom Brady, like, did Tom Brady and the Buccaneers just need to play a whole bunch of crappy teams down the stretch in order to build confidence and, like, camaraderie and, I guess winning culture, if you will, to be able to win this game? Or, I don't know, I feel like this is either going to be close or New Orleans could just blow them out again. I mean...
Yeah, I think I'd pick New Orleans in this one. Also, New Orleans is just, a complete football team. They're not going to go over the top on you, but, it's good defense. They've got Kamara to fall back on. It's a good team. I'm sticking with. I think this is going to be a close game. I don't think that you don't see too many teams get blown out by too many playoff teams get blown out by the same team 3 times. So I think Tampa Bay will come in, have a better game plan, but I'm going to pick New Orleans.
Okay. this is giving me visions of the time when the Cowboys were 13-3 with Tony Romo, and we beat the Giants 2 times that year. The Giants went 9-7. They were a wild card team. They won their first wild card game, and then they beat us in a close game where we threw a Hail Mary from our own 30-yard line that got batted down, and we lost. Still depressing to this day. And I think Tom Brady's out for vengeance here, and I think they squeak by the Saints here. And I think what ultimately does New Orleans in is Drew Brees being ineffective.
Well, you forget that they have 3 starting caliber quarterbacks on that roster.
Oh, you're
And
right.
don't you think that Jameis Crablegs Winston isn't going to be out for vengeance against his former team? They need to throw a Hail Mary or something like that. Jameis is coming in.
Well, at this point, I would think about moving him up ahead of Taysom Hill, considering Hill literally gave the Bears their only points of the game
Yeah,
with that fumble.
it's true.
Seems like every time they put him in, he just does something stupid.
Yeah, he's had a lot of fumbles this year.
Just don't let him pass it anymore.
Yep.
Just let Drew Brees throw the ball the entire game.
Yep. So
So I guess I'm going with the Buccaneers in this one. Maybe, you did go 2-4 in wildcard weekend. I went 4-2, so I guess, you're going to have to find a way to catch up a little bit here.
well, I'm planning to make that ground up.
Which arguably I'm making the riskier pick here, but
I don't know if it's that risky. I mean, I think everybody thinks this is going to be a close game, but let's move on to a game where maybe I'll have a riskier pick. The Browns at the Chiefs.
have you learned nothing this year, Mark, from picking against the Chiefs?
Hey, one of the times I picked against them, they lost. So
Oh, that was a fluke.
one of the
But,
7 times.
yeah, if you pick against them enough times, eventually they'll lose.
Yeah.
But
No,
I mean, I guess to be fair, nobody really thought the Browns were going to beat the Steelers, so it could happen. And they have the recipe to be able to win this game by just running the ball. Don't make Baker throw difficult passes or have him make hard decisions. I mean, I really don't think the Chiefs' defense is better than the Steelers' defense, so I don't know. The Browns, this game might be closer than people think, I guess. I personally don't think so. I think it'll probably be like a 2-touchdown win for the Chiefs.
I agree.
But
And the thing is, if the Chiefs are down at halftime, if I have to pick a quarterback in this game that's gonna, lead me back, from a deficit, I'm gonna pick Mahomes. Like, it just seems like sometimes this year the Chiefs have just had to get down at some point or make the game close, and then all of a sudden, boom, their offense just takes off, like what we know it can do. So I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I think some people think that, the Browns got their playoff win. Now they're going to get decimated by the Chiefs. No, I think the Browns are still going to put up a good game, but they're still a young team, and I think Kansas City does win this one by, a score or 2.
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. The Chiefs, how they've been kind of playing, just kind of playing down to the competition the past few weeks. If they have to do that if they do that against the Browns, and the Browns end up with the ball and they're just milking clock, like Chubb and Hunt are just milking the clock. I mean, I know the Chiefs can score in like 30 seconds, but I wouldn't want to get into a potential, down the stretch, last 5 minutes of the game where I'm losing by 7 to the Browns and they're just milking the clock and go get a field goal, leave you 2 minutes left to try to get 2 scores. So I do think it's possible for the Browns to win, but I'm picking the Chiefs, and that would make it 100 times more exciting if the Browns won. If you had no expectations again.
It's true. It's true. Well, we've got one more game this weekend. And I think this is going to be another tough one to call. Baltimore at Buffalo.
This is tough because I was hoping Baltimore would play the Chiefs to give the Chiefs a run for their money. But man, I don't know. Buffalo, I know you were kind of talking about earlier. Buffalo not playing quite as well as what they had been. But oh man, I honestly I don't know if you have much info to add here that can help me make a decision.
I really don't. But I will tell you, I'm going to pick against you here. So I'll let you come to your own decision on this.
All right. Well, I did say Buffalo was going to be my team this year in the playoffs, and I really hope that Lamar Jackson just sucks. But honestly, at this point, it looks like he might, uh, you know, at least running the ball wise, might be able to secure them a win. But I'm going to go with Buffalo just because I said I picked them, for my playoff team. I still think they're probably the best. Maybe not as hot as the Ravens, but I think they're the best team as far as, well, I guess their running game is kind of bad, but I don't think that will hurt them too much.
Look, all I'm going to say is one Harbaugh just got a contract extension. Now this Harbaugh is going to earn his contract extension. So, Ravens.
Well, can I just say the other Harbaugh didn't earn anything?
Oh no, he earned it.
Well, at least he didn't lose to Ohio State this year. So I guess you're right.
That's true. Would you like to switch gears to talking a little bit about Ohio State, though?
Yeah, I guess.
Man, that was a boring game.
Holy cow, man. When is college football going to ever be exciting again?
Probably once Nick Saban retires.
Man, I just don't get it. Like, there wasn't a single entertaining playoff game this year. Like, at least last year, the Clemson-Ohio State game was, entertaining. LSU, I think everyone knew was going to win last year. This year, yeah, I really don't think Alabama is that. Were they really that good, or did they just get to play Notre Dame in a 7-win Ohio State team?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to evaluate. I don't know. Alabama just seemed way more prepared going into it. I do think this is a really good Alabama team. I'm not sure if it's like the best Alabama team, like what some people are talking about, but I don't know, but
I mean, it seemed like Ohio State had no defensive game plan. Like, it looked like their whole game plan was to prevent defense the whole game, to try to not let them score touchdowns, but then also, Devonta Smith, the guy who wins the Heisman, let's guard him with a white linebacker. Like, well, okay, not to bring in white there, but a slow linebacker. I guess. I guess you'd usually at least I would consider white linebacker a little bit slower, but he was pretty freaking slow. Like, here's the thing: I don't even know how good Devonta Smith's going to be in the NFL. The 3 games of Alabama I watched him play, he made no cuts. He literally just ran faster than the defensive players, and either sat in the zone, which, finding the zone and sitting in it is a valuable skill. But if he's playing man, there's, on one of them, he just ran past a guy, and Ohio State was just looking at Mac Jones, the defender, just looking at him, and then he turns around, and Devonta Smith's 15 yards down the field. I'm like, is this supposed to be man defense? Like, what is Ohio State doing here? and they couldn't stop Najee Harris to save their lives. I don't know. This is another thing where I think, I mean, we've talked about this already, but they either need to do something with the recruiting and how many recruits you can get, or scholarship players, or whatever, or make it an 8-team playoff. Because, I mean, I think it would have been entertaining. Like, if, I mean, granted, Oklahoma lost 2 games, but if you think about it, we won 7 games in a row to end of the year, the same amount as Ohio State did. So, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like Oklahoma could have played better than that. Better than Notre Dame and Ohio State played against them. Like,
Yeah, I agree with you. They've got to expand it. Like, there is no reason not to expand it at this point. Literally, everybody is calling for some sort of expansion. Like, just it's ridiculous.
just,
I mean, it's pretty much the same teams in it every year. Like,
yeah. Well, that's another thing I think is just it's totally boring. Even like, I mean, I'm an Oklahoma fan. I love when Oklahoma gets in there. But if Oklahoma was blowing, doing the same thing Alabama has been doing, like that would just be, it'd be great for me. But I know it would be boring for all the other fans. Like honestly, at this point, college football to me is about as boring as the NBA. And I know that probably is going to make some people mad, but like it just, every year college football just drops lower and lower on my sports ranking tier list.
yeah, but I agree with you. They got to figure something out.
Just make Alabama, just make it to where Alabama and Ohio State and Clemson can't be in it. Or make us
Lifetime bans.
make a second, instead of, or I mean, here's another idea. Like, instead of doing the other bowl games, which are essentially like, who wants to watch North Texas versus Chattanooga, and they're both losing teams? Like, nobody wants to watch that garbage. Why not? If they're not going to have this playoff bracket, or expand it, why not just have like another like 4-team or 8-team bracket or something with like the next, I don't know, from like 5 to 12 or whatever or something. I don't know. Just make it to where, I don't know, there's some other entertaining games out there to watch.
Or even just a little bit of variety. Like,
Yeah, for real. Just get rid of all the bowl games. We don't need all these bowl games.
oh, we need the Duke's Mayo Bowl. That's
Oh, fine. Well, we can make that into the New Year's 8. How about that, Mark?
some of these bowl names are pretty funny though. Like, got to give them credit for that at least. But well, I don't have anything else related to the NCAA. If you don't.
Yeah. I mean, do you have anything college basketball related? I mean,
Michigan looks really good.
the Big Ten as a whole, like, I can't believe how many ranked teams they have this year. Maybe they're actually as good as what they're being talked about this year.
The Big Ten is ridiculous. I watched Wisconsin play Michigan yesterday, and Michigan played some of the best defense I've ever seen a college basketball team play. I mean, it was just, and their freshman center, I forget his name. He's real good. So, but yeah, I mean, Big Ten as a whole is just killing it this year. I mean, you even got Rutgers in the conversation. Like, that's amazing. That's what the Big Ten needs, is Rutgers leading it. So.
Yeah, I guess the only thing else I want to mention there is, this might be the first year I might consider picking Gonzaga to win the championship. Like, I mean, I know they usually look pretty good, but they just look incredible. Like, I don't know what it is this year, but I don't know. They might be my early pick, even though, I mean, they're ranked number 1, but.
Also, I don't think we mentioned it, but they did announce that the NCAA tournament's going to all be held at Indianapolis this year. So.
Well, it's a good thing they've started playing for that early, because I can't wait for, the Bills to play the Packers in the Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers has COVID, and then they make it you play Tim Boyle.
That's what everybody wants to see.
Hey, I will say, I agree now, Tim Boyle could be the best backup in the league, Because I heard that he's the one telling LaFleur to let Aaron Rodgers just, wait out the clock. Wait. And that's from Aaron Rodgers himself.
It's true. It's true. Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays on the
Yeah.
Pat McAfee show. If you haven't been watching them, you got to check them out. It's a good time. But, well, you want to switch over to the MLB real quick? Just got a couple things.
Yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, obviously the biggest piece of news is the Mets traded for Francisco Lindor. In other news, Cleveland trades away another star player.
Now, I will say when I first saw that, I thought it was to the Yankees. Like, I just read New York, and I was thinking, oh boy, I can't wait for them to choke again. And then it was like, oh wait, it's the Mets.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't feel like the Mets gave up too bad of a return either. They gave up two shortstops, Jimenez, and I forget, Ahmed I think it was Ahmed Rosario. And then they gave up another player or two. But it didn't feel like the whole was, I kind of thought maybe Cleveland would get a little bit more, but part of that might be a lot of the teams are looking to shed payroll right now, and the last thing some of them want to do is, take on what's going to be a large contract with Lindor. So,
Does that actually make the Mets, like, any better? Like, I feel like the Mets keep making these trades acting like, they're World Series contenders.
I mean, it's part of the new ownership because they just got a new owner, and he said he wants to put it all on the table, do everything he can to have him win. I do think it makes him better. I mean, he's another great bat to have in their lineup, and their offense actually looks like it'd be pretty good. It's their pitching. I mean, they've got DeGrom. DeGrom's going to be solid, but they need Syndergaard.
Well, don't they still have Stroman too?
I think they've got one more year of Stroman.
So I mean, he's pretty decent 3 if you can get Syndergaard healthy, which they can't.
That's going to be a challenge, and I'm not
Oh wait,
sure.
didn't Syndergaard have Tommy John?
Oh, that might have been he. Oh, I think he did, but I think he's expected to be back sometime this season.
Yeah, I want to say they didn't they do that right at the beginning of March though. I thought?
Yeah. So he'd probably be good to go sometime.
Man, it'd be late.
Yeah,
It'd be
sometime
late.
in the second half of the season. It just depends on how quickly he responds and can do his rehab. I mean, it might even be better for them to just use him in a bullpen capacity. But I don't know.
Yeah, they might make that decision depending on where they're ranked. Ranked.
Yeah, I still think the Braves are tops in that division, personally, but
Yeah, I mean the Braves are just like a pitcher, really just like a veteran pitcher away from being the best team, honestly.
yeah, I mean they're a loaded team. So, and then the other piece of news is Rob Manfred came out and told teams to prepare for normal spring training and a full 162 game season, which we mentioned a couple weeks ago. The league wanted to play like a shortened 120 game season. Players did not want to have prorated contracts, and because of the collective bargaining agreement, the Players Association has to agree on any schedule changes. So players got what they wanted, and I'm happy we get a full season personally. But that's the other big piece of news in the MLB. Aside from a couple signings, the White Sox got Liam Hendricks,
Ooh.
which was a big signing. Outside of that, can't really think of much else. So MLB wise.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't really have anything else. I guess I was gonna ask, do we know about fans yet?
They said they were the MLB themselves are only gonna implement. So they're gonna leave it up to the teams. So teams can choose if they want to have fans or not. But the MLB will be the ones who set the, I think they said the guidelines are, you have to wear masks when you're not eating. But we've seen that in all the other sports that are being played right now. Like, there has to be social distancing in effect, so you'll probably see like pod seating, and then like lots of hand washing stations. But they said they're leaving it up to the clubs to determine if they want to be even more strict than that. So, which, I mean, honestly, with baseball, you don't see a sold out venue every single day. So, even with social distanced, you might still see a pretty good crowd, like compared to what you'd see on a normal day, aside from weekends and around holidays and stuff like that. But the fans will be nice to have back.
Yeah. I'm ready to get to this Brewers Red game, Mark.
That's true. I can't wait to see the Brewers lineup that currently has Daniel Vogelbach starting at first base, and I'm not really sure if we have a viable third base option right now. I'm pumped for that.
It's time to get Travis Shaw back.
Yeah, ooh, you know what? I'd be open to that. Bring back the mayor of Ding Dong City. So, but
well, I guess we can get to the man of the hour, and that would be James Harden. What do you think of this trade? Do you want me to mention, what all happened in this?
yeah, there's a lot to break down in this trade.
There's a lot of moving parts here.
So why don't you go ahead and list out everything that happened in the trade, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So the Rockets so this was actually a 4-team deal with the Rockets, the Nets, the Pacers, and the Cavs. So the Rockets get Victor Oladipo and two other random players. That Dante Exum, a bust really, and some guy named Rodionis Kuric or something. I don't even know what other team he played for. Then they get the Brooklyn's 2022, 24, 26, and Milwaukee 2022 first round picks. They're unprotected. And then pick swaps with the Nets 2021, 23, 25, 27. The Nets get James Harden. Pacers get Karis LeVert and a 2023 second-round pick from Houston. The Cavaliers get Jared Allen and Taurean Prince. So, very, very massive deal that just happened.
So, I mean, honestly, I gotta say the Rockets won that, in my mind.
As far as the picks go,
but you also get out of the Harden mess. Because, I mean, Harden was just going to be like this all year until they traded him. I mean, and they got Oladipo in the trade. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, so, and this does open up a little bit of room for him. I think maybe, I'm not sure this next off season, but the following off season maybe for some cap space. To sign some other players. And I mean, in the NBA, I mean, they got like 4 picks there. So you can always use those to trade for someone else.
Yeah, honestly, they'd probably be better trading for someone else with how often your first round picks actually pan out in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, they could use them as soon as this trade deadline, honestly, this year. Like,
yeah,
not?
Honestly.
So
I'm sure they could pick up somebody.
Yeah, I mean, lots of first rounders there. So
I don't like the Nets getting rid of Jared Allen and Karis LeVert. That seems. I mean, you're relying on a guy who's tore his Achilles, and Kyrie Irving, who just might decide to not play for no reason whatsoever. Uh, and then also the guy who just likes to go to the strip club. So, uh, very. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens.
What do you feel about the Pacers and the Cavs?
I mean, you get Karis LeVert. Yeah, I think the Pacers. I think they had been kind of wanting to get rid of Oladipo. Um, so I don't think it's too bad for them. And I mean, the Cavs. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what the Cavs gave up. I guess they gave up what Dante Exum, and they get like Jared Allen. I think was that what I said.
And
Uh,
that Torian Prince guy.
yeah. So the Cavs basically gave up nothing and got two pretty decent players. So I grant the Cavs. Well, the Cavs aren't doing too bad with that Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. I mean, they're not looking too terrible.
Yeah.
So.
Any other news in the NBA?
Uh, I mean, I don't think there's really been any other trades. I mean, it seems like it seems like it might be pretty competitive this year. Uh, like the Nuggets aren't really doing too hot so far. I'm sure they'll pick it up. Like the Mavs are, they're around the middle. The Spurs are playing pretty well with their young core. Golden State is seemingly gonna be maybe getting to the playoffs again. And then actually, I guess the only real story so far is that Philadelphia is. I think they're like number one seed or number two, and I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they can keep that up or if they ultimately get eliminated in the first round again. But the NBA's got a long way to go. Long, boring season of pretty much nothing until we get to the playoffs.
Can't wait.
Yeah, this is. Yeah.
Well, in other news, the NHL starts today. Moving on to sports we don't care about.
Well, I'm hoping the Stars. I'm hoping the Stars can get back to the Stanley Cup. I don't really keep up with hockey. I don't even know who's on our team, but maybe the Stars can bring something home for Dallas for once.
I'm hoping the Blackhawks can too, but that's just not realistic. So
Yeah,
the Blackhawks had their dynasty, and now they're paying the price. So
well, at least you've had a dynasty, multiple dynasties in Chicago.
yeah,
But yeah, I guess sports we don't care about. I mean, really, to a certain extent, I mean, tennis started back up, but honestly, it's really the first January pretty much doesn't mean anything in the tennis world, especially now that the Australian Open's been delayed. Um, but Alex de Minaur, he's from Australia, wins the first ATP tournament. I don't think it was a very big tournament, so really not that impressive. I mean, obviously any win is, sort of impressive, but it's not like this was a major event. Not even like a major ATP event. And he didn't really even win by winning. Just the guy he was playing, Bublik, just happened. He got injured, and whenever you get injured in the tennis world, they call it retiring the match. So congratulations to Alex de Minaur for winning by your opponent retiring the match. So yeah, what a way for the tennis world to start out. I guess I'm just hoping Roger can get back and have one more decent year before he goes down the drain. But who knows? Maybe he'll be like Tom Brady and play till he's 50. But that's all I have in that section. I don't think golf is really doing anything for a while. I don't know. I'm sure there's some sort of things going on in, the part of the world that's in their summertime. But I don't know what sports they play. Maybe cricket's going on.
Oh, I do have some news from the MLS.
Oh boy.
Some good news, actually. It appears there's now the Players Association. Apparently, it sounds like was thinking about striking at some point.
Oh boy.
But instead, they've announced they will not be striking. They're just going to dispute the commissioner's collective bargaining agreement claims. I don't know anything about what's going on, and I'm not going to look into it. But go soccer.
Good old MLS. And man, they're gonna strike just as they're getting up to 1 million viewers. Man.
Well, this has been episode 16 of the MJ Sports Podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week.
Goodbye.